Our next guest forecasts that France will avoid a financial crisis no matter the results of their upcoming election. I want to bring in Greg Ip. He's the Wall Street Journal's deputy economics editor and chief economics commentator. And Greg, this has been so closely watched. These snap elections surprised so many, including both parties, I think, within France. What does it mean for the future of the EU and the euro? What does it mean just financially for France?
Well, Le Pen and the National Rally, which are leading the polls right now in France, are one of the oldest and most well-established, best-known so-called populist far-right parties in Europe. And like a lot of those populist parties, has long advocated for taking France out of the European Union and the common currency, the euro. So there's naturally a bit of nervousness and a kind of a knee-jerk reaction that when investors see a very high chance that they will win this election, that the euro's fate is once again in the balance. But I think people need to catch up with reality a little bit because there's been a pretty important evolution in European politics in the last 5 or 6 years, where a lot of these parties on the right have more or less completely dropped that part of their program. And Le Pen and the National Rally no longer talk about leaving the European Union, but reforming it from within. Now, that's not to say that's all smooth sailing, because they still have a fairly aggressive fiscal spending program. And so I think that's one of the reasons you see nervousness in the markets with bond yields in France going up relative to Germany's. But the fact of the matter is that as long as France stays in the euro, they're going to be subject to a lot of the strictures of being part of the common currency, one of which is that you cannot spend with abandon because you just don't control the interest rates and the currency in which you borrow.
So is that behind the ECB's warning this week to what they're saying, all euro nations, that they need to rein in their spending and cut their debt immediately and permanently? Is that a reaction to what they think is going to happen in France post-election?
Well, what we saw was the European Commission issuing their annual review of the deficits of member nations. And so this was part of an annual exercise where countries which are in violation of the Stability and Growth Pact because their deficits are too large and are not headed down, they get a warning and they're told to enter something that the Europeans call the excessive deficit procedure, which is essentially a bargaining session where they lay out a plan to get those numbers down. France was one of 7 or 8 countries that was so named and shamed, so to speak. And yeah, you could think of that as a warning across the bows of any incoming government in France that they need to work on their finances. Now, you can imagine a scenario where the government comes in and basically thumbs their nose at Brussels and says, we're going to do whatever we want. But when you actually look at, for example, the president of Italy, where the numbers are worse than in France, Giorgia Meloni, the populist prime minister, talked a big talk about being defiant of Brussels before she became prime minister. And since then, she's been a team player. And I think that recognizes a couple of things, Becky. First of all, that the European Union remains a very popular institution with voters. Not that they love it, but that the alternative is worse. Nobody wants to go back to the Italian lira, for example, or the French franc. And the second thing is that, you're just so embedded that, ultimately, if you want to stay in the euro, you have to recognize that the markets and the reality of these big deficits of the markets aren't going to bail you out. And so there's a very strong incentive that no matter what you say on the campaign trail, you'll have to negotiate with the European Union to put your finances on a more sustainable path.
Yeah, Greg, I liked in your piece what you pointed out that, look, the savers in these nations, or anybody who's got money in the markets, who's got savings, who's got pensions, they don't want to go back to their initial currency and then have it massively devalued so that they lose massive amounts of whatever savings or wealth they have.
I know. And I think actually it's in some sense one of the surprising and underappreciated consequences of the high inflation of the last few years is that it's actually reaffirmed the importance of keeping low inflation and keeping central banks independent and with their eyes on the primary goal of getting inflation low. I think it's fascinating that, for example, in Mexico, a very populist president and his newly elected successor have had to reaffirm the autonomy of the central bank. In South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, the president, in order to form a coalition government with the Democratic Alliance, the opposition party, had to agree to maintain the independence of the central bank. And in Europe, what you're seeing effectively is that no matter how you feel on cultural issues like immigration or same-sex marriage, don't mess with the fundamental economic foundation of the Eurozone.
Right, because central banks control things until they don't, and the markets speak up, and then you have to listen.
That's right.
Greg,